Welcome to Sharing in the Disruption podcast. This is Leif, and Leif reached out to me, wanting to talk about kind of his experience with mining, and he probably wants me to frame it as like he's not a mining guru expert, but he dabbles in it, and I'll let him tell you what he's done in that. But Leif, I guess. I wanted to ask you some questions about your experiences with investments, investing in the stock market, because that's kind of a lot what this podcast is about. I wanted to talk with you about mining because we talk about crypto a little bit. And I don't have the best understanding of mining. And I think a lot of people, it's a little ambiguous. Maybe they invest in Bitcoin because they've heard a lot about it, Ethereum, and a lot of people know nothing. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself, know nothing about all the altcoins and things like that. So maybe you can, I wanted to have you on here to kind of speak to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks for having me on, Mike. It's great to be part of your podcast. And, I guess, did you want me to talk about like investing or more mining right now and how
I'll set it up real quick.
All right.
So Leif, since you were on here kind of because we were talking about mining, maybe you could just get us started did you get into Bitcoin and mining first, or did you get into investing first?
It would definitely have been investing, but I just remember I really knew nothing about the markets for a long time until I would say about 2011 or 2012 is when I first started delving into the stock market. But I remember even like when we were, in college in 2008, I didn't even realize how the severity of the situation. I mean, I had heard about it, but looking back on it now, I'm like, wow, it really was bad.
That's an interesting point. That was kind of I kind of always thought like our system was pretty stable, and I didn't know much about stocks. I thought they were just super boring. And whenever I heard about people listening to stocks, my eyes glazed over. But I remember they were even camped out in Boone where we went to college, and I went out there just to like write about it for the school newspaper actually. And I saw it in Raleigh. When I was in Raleigh, there's people all camped out, and I was like, oh, this is a big deal. But I didn't really understand it at the time. Did you?
Not really.
No. We're talking about the housing crisis.
Yeah. No, not much at all. I think my dad lost his job, unfortunately. My mom had a more stable job, but it was definitely tough times for sure.
Actually, we have a mutual friend, Nick. He does financial advising, and I remember listening to him. He said they lived out in Palo Alto, and his dad lost, I think, his job during the tech bubble.
Yeah, I think so.
That seemed to be very impressionable on him and what drove him into finance. So I think a lot of people got driven into finance after the financial crisis or the housing crisis.
Yeah. It's cool hearing Nick's. He has a good reason for wanting to be a financial advisor. I'd say living through all that, the tech bubble and everything like that. But yeah,
I'll probably ask him in retrospect whether he's cool with bringing up after it's published. I'll be like, oh, by the way, I name dropped.
But yeah, I kind of dabbed when I first got into the market. I did what most people do, and well, I know you didn't do this, Mike, but the first thing I got my hands on were penny stocks, which obviously I don't even want to really touch a penny stock with a 10-foot pole, except maybe in very.
No, but mention it because I know a ton of people that do. I know somebody that literally bought a stock when I worked at a restaurant because it was the cheapest one.
Yeah.
He bought
you think about it, it's like it's only a penny. Like all it has to do is go to 2 pennies and you double your money.
Right, you buy like $200 and you're a millionaire.
Yeah, exactly. So I did that. I messed around with penny stocks and learning the markets a little bit. And I was involved. I think the first stock I ever bought was, I still remember the ticker and everything. It was Sigma Labs, SGLB. And it was this huge pump and dump thing. And
did you know what they did at all?
I kind of did. And they did they supposedly were into 3D printing, and they were trying to get like a contract with like GE Aviation or something, and they were doing like what's it called, like where you 3D print parts, and it's less waste and everything, and so
which
I
is
was
actually a
like,
good industry to invest in. But if it had
I,
no chance, no shot in hell of being successful.
yeah, exactly. And but like, yeah, they were involved in a pump and dump, I think, and I think they're still traded to this day. I look at it every once in a while, but and then after that, I kind of got into pharmaceutical companies, like biotech companies, and I found that I've learned a lot of things along the way, and one lesson I learned is to invest in things that you actually have interest in, or you are knowledgeable in, and or if you can do a lot it just makes it so you don't have to do as much research and stuff like that.
That's what Warren Buffett says, and it's more enjoyable.
Yeah, it is more enjoyable, exactly, for sure. I'm sure you enjoy doing all the research with the EV stuff. And
yeah, I don't invest in biotechs for multiple reasons, but one is because I just don't really enjoy reading about.
Yeah, exactly, drugs. And I don't know, like, and it's just like, it just seems like a crapshoot whether or not the drug gets approved and it goes on to phase 3 or whatever. And
well, if you want to be in something like that, I would say use an ETF. Like,
yeah, exactly,
that's the things like I know a lot about electric cars and solar, and I do like really small companies sometimes. Yeah. But with biotech, I'm like, I want to be in it, so I'll just do an ETF where they research it for me.
And the biotech, man, this 2020 was the year for biotech. I feel like man, those stocks really did crush it.
But if you've somehow had that early on, but then there was like people just bundling into Pfizer or something just because once the news is there, it's like too late to really benefit from it,
Yeah. I kind of the one thing that made it difficult for me to invest in pharmaceutical companies is I feel like they are unprofitable for years and years and years and years, and then maybe that one time they find a drug that they can get approval for and they can actually make money off, but it seems pretty risky. But yeah, I think investing in an ETF, like you said, would be smarter in that arena.
They're really popular among swing traders because they're unstructured like most other stocks. Most other stocks like are either a good company or they're not, and they slowly go up. Or like maybe, I mean, there's news, but biotechs purposely have this stair step pattern where they take on a lot of debt to finance all this research. And they have to go through a phase 1 trial, and then you might see this big pop, and then they might crash after that, and then they still have to go through all these. So people speculate to try to catch those stair steps, but
for sure,
that's a tough game.
Yeah, and then after messing around with biotech, I was pretty impatient too. I think I remember being in like a stock for like a few months, and I think I lost money, and that was it for me. I don't know. And but then after that, I think I kind of in 2015 or 2016, I started hearing about was the first time I ever heard about Bitcoin. And that was actually through a kind of funny event where I play I was playing a online poker tournament, and I actually got second place. And the website I was playing on at the time allowed you to withdraw your earnings through a Bitcoin, like a wallet or address or something.
Did you do all of your winnings in Bitcoin?
Yeah. And I didn't know what it was at the time though. And then like I would, I didn't realize how.
What year was this?
2016.
That was a pretty good year to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, it was. I still remember looking back on it. I think at that point it was $800 a coin.
Yeah.
And I kept looking at my like Bitcoin wallet or whatever, and still not knowing fully what I was doing, and the value.
You must have had some level of conviction though to buy it, like to get all your winnings. I don't know how much your winnings were, but I'd be like, give me that shit in cash.
Well, that was the thing. I think the only option was to or it was like the cheapest option or something. I did it for some reason other than not like I think it may have been like literally the fastest option or the cheap. Like I didn't do it because I was like, oh, Bitcoin, like yeah. I just did it because it was like the easiest and fastest or something.
Yeah, so it wasn't conviction based.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I was like, okay, I can get it like this fast, and all right. And so I kept looking at my account value every couple days, and I would keep going up and up and up. And I was like, what is going on? Like, and then I researched into it and found out about Bitcoin a little bit through doing this whole thing. But yeah, I think I sold all of it when it hit 1,400. Once again, not knowing what I had at all.
She doubled?
Yeah. Well, maybe not a little less than double, but
you sold it before the crash, right?
Well,
in 2017, like when?
Yeah. Well, so this was. I think I sold it on the as it was going up, so I could have made a lot more money. And this was before, before the crash. And I think after, like, it was about a year after that is when it probably hit about like 10,000 or something. I'll have to go back and look at the price, but
no, I think it maxed out at 17, 18, 19.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You were like, oh, man.
Yeah.
But you still double your money. That's
and
you didn't know about, and you just got, like, I mean, from winning a game, like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was a learning experience for sure. And then I kind of did some research.
Did you keep up with it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was starting to like learn about like mining, and I was like, mining, like, that seems like it would be pretty cool to get into. Like, you literally don't have to do anything and you just get money. And I was like, I kind of want to look into this. So did some research and found out about these ASIC miners, which are applications like specific integrated.
Now, how did you get into that first? Because I thought my impression was it was used, and that's why NVIDIA and AMD went up.
Yeah, you're right.
Now
So,
I'm not noticing a big pop in their stock.
Yeah. So you're right. So they're or in the early days, before I even knew about Bitcoin and whatnot, you're right. They the miners did use actually CPUs and GPUs. I think they use CPUs for Bitcoin, and GPUs have always been used for Ethereum. Do you know when Ethereum was released, by the way? I have no idea.
I know it was like a Russian or Ukrainian guy.
Yeah. Vlad or something.
Yeah, they actually know.
Was it 2013?
I don't know what.
I feel like it was 2013, but yeah, you're right though. The graphics cards were used in the first.
Well, I think they're still because Jensen Huang came out with NVIDIA, and he said that they're making a specific chip for just Ethereum.
Yep.
So I think they're still involved in Ethereum. But
I want to buy some. If I can get my hands on some, I'm going to buy some.
The NVIDIA chips?
Yeah.
But
yeah, you're right. But then as the difficulty, when ASIC miners were invented and released by.
Can you explain the ASIC miner, Earl?
Yeah, so I am going to try to like explain it as easily as I can, but essentially it's like a big calculator that it's like a computer that only does like math calculations and tries to solve like calculations essentially. And
is there an inefficiency with the GPU because it's made for doing other things?
Yeah, the GPUs are more for Ethereum mining, and which I've actually been researching a lot more recently, and I'm going to get more into that. Actually, I think I want to switch over.
Wasn't in their name like graphics processing units? They're meant to process like rendering graphics.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're not specific just to.
Yeah. So exactly. So then when the ASIC miners were released or invented from like the Chinese companies, the difficulty went up so much, I think, that the people who use graphics cards had to literally stop because their hashing power was so low. Like if I had to guess, I would say one of these ASIC miners did probably like what 20 graphics cards would do, like the first one.
So, okay, so that's a good point. So you're saying in China they developed a better way to mine it. So
Yeah,
they were just stealing all the market share of
yeah,
mining the
yeah,
blocks, and so people
exactly.
in the U.S. had to keep up, and they had to switch over to ASIC mining.
Yeah, yeah, and or
So
just
the
stop
Chinese like
because
innovated,
yeah.
and we had to keep up actually. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, or else if I mean you literally would be losing money, but
Or you had to switch to a different kind of
yeah,
crypto, right? Because you said
yeah,
they're
yeah,
specific to.
yeah, and that's why Ethereum actually. I think that's one of the reasons why Vlad. The cool thing about Ethereum is, and why people like to mine it is because they actually made it so that the coding, the algorithm, ASIC miners, it's can't mine it. So so you literally have to have graphics cards to mine Ethereum. There is like one that I don't even really know if it's considered an ASIC miner, but they're very hard to get your hands on, and it's essentially, I think it like 99% of the miners are probably mining with graphics cards for Ethereum. But yeah, so I started looking into.
Do you mine Bitcoin?
Right now, I'm mining Litecoin,
Mm-hmm.
only because I bought these like Litecoin miners as like a thing just to do on for fun. Essentially, like speculative mining is what they call it. Because when I got them, it was actually not profitable to mine. But if you mined and got these coins and then the price goes up by double, which is obviously going to happen one way or the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
You essentially, all those coins that you mine, you are now profitable. So you essentially are just betting or hoping that the price will keep going up. And
Mm-hmm.
so like, so it's kind of not a lot of people do that. And but now though, right now the market has changed tremendously and the profitability has gone up a lot. And
Because it's gone up in price, or are you talking because
yeah,
it's dropped down from its high?
mostly mostly the price going up, and the difficulty hasn't gone up as much as the price has. So it's kind of like a ratio between the price of whatever coin and the
Mm-hmm.
difficulty, which you can look up on like these websites. You can literally just type in like Bitcoin difficulty, Litecoin difficulty, and it'll tell you how
You were
much.
telling me a website that tells you like if
Yeah,
somebody was looking to get into
yeah,
mining, like
yeah.
what
What to
rig they would need.
mine.com.
Whattomine.com.
Yeah, it's a great website. You can literally plug in your like uh, what graphics cards you have or what ASIC miners you have in your hashing power, and then you plug in your electricity. And with those two things, you can actually scroll down a whole list. It'll tell you everything of like what coins you can mine and if it's profitable or not.
Mm-hmm.
And something that's kind of cool is the top one is usually always nice hash, which is like I've tried using it in the past, but I stopped. I don't know why, because they pay you more. But essentially what they do is you literally like loan out your hashing power to them, and they use it for something. They hash or they mine or something, and they actually pay you back. So you're not mining
That's what you were telling
directly.
me, right? Is you could
Yeah.
take two routes. You could like take on a risky, like
Yeah.
get
Solo
lucky every
mine.
so often, and then you
Yeah.
get a block, and then you get paid.
Yeah.
Or you could just like loan out your hashing power, and you get a consistent dividend, or
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah. 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 There's mining. Yeah. Mining
But
pools.
didn't you tell me that if you calculate it up and
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
you would have made more money?
I think I would have had,
You look a little sore about
yeah, I think I would have had
this
50
is
like
more for the
Litecoin.
people to know. Like,
The one of my, I had
there's different
3
strategies.
miners. Yeah. And one of them actually had mined 2 blocks, and which is pretty crazy.
You're
So I
saying
would have,
that's rare though. Like,
it is hard. It's very difficult.
okay, so you
It's
would
a very,
probably be better off doing
yeah, the pools are more consistent, and they actually give you a reward. Some of them do, most of them do. They pay you more than like 100%. So they'll give you like 110%
yeah.
of a payout.
And that's a
And
good point, is the pools, because I thought like originally people were doing it on their computers, and then like people were doing it more as like a kind of a big, like a bunch of rigs put together. And then I thought it just like you got priced out. And I thought it was only like companies that were doing warehouses of these things. But you're
Yeah.
saying you told me that, and shows what I know, that all these things you can join a pool, and then you just as a collective you're pulling all your resources together.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of cool. It's important for there to be a lot of pools too, because I was just found this out. But essentially, if the three biggest pools teamed up together, which they would never do this, but if they did, they could essentially send like bad blocks to the blockchain and could like screw up the Bitcoin that way. And so like if they own like 51% of the mining power or something like that, they can send like bad. So it's important to have these pools that are separated and like so that they can't.
You
do
serious?
this.
Well, that's interesting, because I mean, like when I think about investing in Bitcoin, I try to think about like what potential things could derail it.
Yeah, that would be one, but it's very rare.
I mean, China could essentially do that, couldn't they?
Yeah, that would be.
I think that's the scariest existential, because I was thinking like, what if China? I mean, China can just say like the U.S. probably isn't going to ban it because there's so many institutions now that have money in it. But then in China, like if they saw it as a threat to their fiat currency or something, the yen or whatever, they could just be like, oh, no more Bitcoin. I think they'll keep it because they have like they're doing really good at it. I think they see it as a power thing because they've been buying like gold before that. But essentially you're saying, could they, I mean, maybe they could like buy up enough blocks. Like, you think maybe that could be an existential threat?
That's definitely a threat for sure. But it would be like a, I don't know, 1 in a million chance, I would say, you know what I mean? But it's a possibility, you know, it's not.
No, I just think people have to think through like, I buy it but I do keep it as a, like 5%, 3 to 5% in my portfolio or something, because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, especially like there's not a 100% chance as like evangelical as people are about it. Like I see value in it, but like there's people hyping it like crazy on the internet. So
it is,
you have to know there's some risk to it.
It's pretty nuts to see the price, tripling almost, I would say, in about 2 months or less than 2 months. Well, we went from 20,000 to 60,000, but
I think some of it's legit and some of it's hype. Like I think like they're printing money like crazy. Have you seen gold's actually going down? And like people are pulling their money out of gold to put in Bitcoin. Plus, I think with companies putting money into it, like off their balance sheet, like Tesla, like I think that actually could make the market cap of Bitcoin bigger than gold, because you don't have like Microsoft pulling, like 2% of their or portion $2 billion off their balance sheet and putting it into gold.
For sure.
I think it actually could have a lot more power. And if it was caught up with gold, I think wouldn't it be like $10 trillion or something?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
It's crazy.
But I'm sure there'll be another company like Tesla or MicroStrategy in the near future.
I think the floodgates have opened for that.
Yeah.
I had something written down. You said nice hash. Is that?
Yeah. So that's one that is.
That's the pool, right?
Well, so it's the pool that I use was called Litecoinpool.org, and it was actually created by the founder of Litecoin, Charlie Lee, believe it or not, and which some people despise him for selling all of his Litecoin when the price was like $350 like 3 years ago. But yeah, I mean,
he sold all of it.
He sold all of his Litecoin, but he said it was so that he could focus on the growth of Litecoin and not have to worry about the price and stuff, which I sort of believe him. But Yeah.
I would be nervous if like Elon sold all his shares of Tesla. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. That caused the price to drop like crazy.
that's what
Like,
every pump and dump person said. Well, I was
yeah.
getting Chamath Palihapitiya, he like brought Virgin Galactic public, so he has to invest all this money in his own uh
Uh,
a lot of his own money. And then he pulled a lot of money out of Virgin Galactic, and everybody was like freaking out. And he's
oh,
like,
really?
"Oh, I'm just putting it into other things." And it's like, maybe not. I don't know.
Is that the wait? Is that the guy, the Facebook exec or whatever? I've been seeing him around all over the place,
He
and
was, yeah,
I
he's all
really
over
like
the
him.
place now. You know, he's a really interesting guy. He's bringing a lot of interesting companies public. He does a podcast.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen like some clips of it.
It's a bunch of guys that play poker together.
Dude,
And,
I was just gonna say I saw him playing poker, and I love
it's
playing
called
poker.
All In. I'll
Oh really?
Yeah, it's a really great podcast. I got Nick to listen to it. He loves it.
Really? Oh
Yeah,
wow,
I really
I'll
like
have to
it
check
because
out.
they have they all play poker together. It's a bunch of guys that are investors and founders and a bunch of different. They do a bunch of different stuff. Chamath's in it, and they just they have completely different views on politics and like social issues and things. And so, but it's pretty like, you know, civil and balanced and things like that. But sometimes they get a little heated. It's interesting to see all these different opinions.
I've seen him play poker on like a show called I think Poker After Dark, which is like, and I just saw that like online the other day, and made me think highly of him because I love playing poker. I don't get to play it much anymore because I'm like, I don't know, don't have much free time anymore, and but yeah, that he seems like a cool guy. If we want to switch subjects and go over to the GameStop thing, he also bought GameStop.
I was wanting to talk about poker. I was going to say there's a lot of parallels. I think poker, because poker is one of my favorite ways. Like, I'm not a big gambler, but if I'm going to gamble, like I love like Risk and Monopoly and stuff like that. If I'm going to gamble, I want there to be some skill to it. Like it's a combination of like manipulation of people, of like the way you hold yourself, the awareness, skills and luck. But like, I mean, there is an element in the stock market of luck and skill, and it's not just straight up like, so that's more compared to actual good investing. Whereas I feel like doing a slots, that's more like what people are doing with, you know, these pump and dumps and stuff like that.
I have to
so poker might hone your skills in like certain areas of the stock market, I think.
Yeah, I have a funny example of, I can talk about real quick about me getting sort of lucky in the stock market. And I did actually buy GameStop calls and made some money on that. But after that, I bought AMC call options before the whole thing, this whole thing happened. And I bought them on a Friday.
Because you thought they were a good company, or because you thought you make money?
So I actually thought I would make, I wasn't planning on holding it that long, but I always had their ticker. I always had their ticker on my like Yahoo Finance thing. And I've always looked at it every once in a while, like, man, that price seems like kind of low. And it was like literally at $2 a share. And I was like, I'm just going to buy $3. I think I bought, I can't remember the exact strike price, but I bought some call options, like $2 or $3. And it had like 6 months of expiration or so until they expired, or maybe even a year. I'll have to go back and look. But essentially, though, I bought them on a Friday. And then literally the news broke about the vaccine. Like this would have been, I think, in like October or something, right? And the stock market, as you remember, like popped like crazy that day. And their stock went up like 50 to 60%. I went all the way up to like 360 or something. Like I bought in at 2 and I sold my call options and made it like 100% profit. But like I said, that's like sort of lucky because I didn't expect to, like I was actually buying it because I was like, I feel like people are going to be going back to movies again. Looking back on that now, I was kind of wrong on that sense, or on that front. But I would say I got pretty lucky with the news of the vaccine coming out. That like literally one day, like after I bought into this, and I was like, oh man, I didn't realize I was going to be in and out of this like that quick. But that's cool. But
Yeah, we should say biggest wins and losses, because my biggest loss probably is that I was gifted. So when I signed up for Robinhood, you get a free stock. I got GameStop, and then I got 2 friends to join. So I got Zynga and GameStop again. I was like, why do they keep giving me this shit? Like, it was literally like $3 a stock at the time. And so, I mean, like,
that's funny.
5 would have gone to like.
It's so funny you said when you told me that the other day. I saw it like online as well. It was like somewhere online. It was like you might have been gifted a share of GameStop by Robinhood. Like you might.
Oh yeah, they were giving it out like candy because they don't want to give you like Apple or anything. They thought it was worthless, I think. Well, honestly, I knew a bull case for GameStop at the time, so I think GameStop was a combination. It's obviously in hype, ridiculousness. I may get hate for this, but I think most people agree it's not worth like $400 a share. They're like, GameStop to the moon, $1,000. Like, there's no way that company is going to turn. Okay, they get the guy from Chewy and all. Yeah, they could turn around to like, they won't go insolvent. And they can maybe become a decent company. Yeah. It may be 300 after like years and years and years, but who wants that ride when there's like secure ones? I did see that Michael Burry invested in them.
Yeah, that's the guy from The Big Short, right?
Everybody says Christian Bale because it was, Christian Bale played him in The Big Short.
Yeah, like the actual Big Short guy.
I mean, he did a lot of research, and apparently Deep Fucking Value did a lot of research. Like, and there was a case for like, like they don't deserve to be like $3 or $5, but maybe 20 to 50.
So I actually did buy GameStop calls literally in June of in 2020, and literally the only reason I did it was because of because of the new consoles coming out. That was like my number one like.
That was another part of the thesis, and that made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and because like I kind of looked at their stock price like when new consoles came out. And like you could literally see like when the Xbox 360 came out, their price went up, and then it fizzled out after years, after everyone has their Xbox that they need and all their games that they want, and occasionally there's a new game that comes out, but all the good all the console sales are fizzling out, and so but it's kind of cyclical, you know what I mean? With
why would hedge funds short going into a giant console?
I know that's
the dumb part to me. It's like
that's the I think they were betting I think they thought that the digital console, because like I was doing a lot of research into this too, and the Xbox had a digital version. And
but it's like cloud gaming is available, but it hasn't taken over anything. These adoption things take a long time. It's like Blockbuster. There's actually a strategy where there's whole companies that just buy other companies that are in distress, because people usually overestimate how quick a company fails. And Blockbuster limped along for a long time. JCPenney, I mean. You could have like shorted. That's why I wouldn't short, because you don't know how long a company can limp along. Like there's plenty of companies I wouldn't invest in. I think AT&T, Ford, like a lot of major companies are ticking time bombs, but they'll probably like limp around for another 50 years and then.
Yeah, I've shorted in the past, but when I was like learning about stocks, and I don't really short anymore. The only time I will like, in a sense, sort of short is buying puts. Put options where you think the price will go down, and that's the only time, because there's like way less risk in that when buying puts versus shorting. And as you know, like because when you short a company, your liability is literally unlimited, because the price can keep going up, as we saw with GameStop and those hedge funds losing billions of dollars because of that. And that's why you don't short, because that can happen.
I think this anti-hedge fund though is detrimental. I was listening to a podcast, and it made me think about something different. Is there's a good freaking way. Like I was like, my initial reaction was like ban shorting. And then I was like, I was listening to this guy and he was talking about how him and some other guys were, they go around and they do research
Mm-hmm.
on companies that are doing really messed up, corrupt
Mm-hmm.
things. And he's like, dude, we've had death threats, like all kinds of stuff. You think about Theranos with Elizabeth Holmes, Nikola Motors.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah.
actually one of my wins this year. I bought that at
Oh,
$20.
really?
I bought it at $20 because I knew it was. I saw the hype around it. I sold it about, I think, like $78.
I like totally missed out on that whole thing. I don't know why. Like
Well,
I heard about it a little bit.
I wrote it up. It got
Like what happened though? Like the founder like what left or something?
They never made a vehicle that worked.
Okay.
So it was a SPAC. You're familiar with the SPACs?
I just looked into SPACs like literally last night.
So it's like
They like
check company. It's like a shell corporation that like they file for an IPO and they do all the paperwork.
It's just easier to do it that way.
Is they search for a company to merge with, and then they take on the name of the company they acquire. That's how Virgin Galactic and a lot of other companies have gone public. So they did this with Nikola, and that guy had the audacity to like, he was like trying to sue Tesla for like name infringement. Is obviously he copied them. This guy was like a complete charlatan. I guess you can talk bad about people who can't sue you. I'm like, what? I don't care. Like it's to like make that much money as he did. He's sitting happy right now. But so they raised all this money and they're saying they have a hydrogen powered, which I'm really into alternative fuels. So I get really offended when people do like a fake thing. It like hits me personally. It's like if you were a doctor and you saw Theranos like pump this like fake medical cure thing. But so they were going to partner with like BP and create all this hydrogen infrastructure. And they were going to partner with GM to release this. They said they were going to partner with GM and that fell through GM was going to make a car and essentially print their name on the side.
Oh, wow.
They were making the semi truck. That was the main thing they were hyping, made of hydrogen. They said how it was going to be cheaper than electric ones. It was going to beat out any of Tesla's electric semis. And they had this whole, they presented some sort of business model. Then this company that was shorting them, Hindenburg Research, I think it's a pretty great name. They released this whole thing saying that the truck on the stage was like plugged in, and they like you can zoom in and see a power cord going into the stage. It was, and then they rolled a truck to the top of a hill in the desert and rolled it down, and then they're like the video was like Nikola in motion, and they were like, oh, but we didn't like literally. I was waiting to see like how he was gonna. I knew it was BS, the company, but I was like, I want to see how he explains all this stuff. And his excuse for that was literally our video says in motion. It doesn't say it's driving it's under its own power. And like, I was like, man, this company is done. But they're still like valued at their peak. They were like $40 to $50 billion. Now they're still at like $8 billion, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Because people will buy. You could just dress up shit, or apparently right now, and like people will buy it. You know.
Have you heard of Citron Research? They're another company that like will.
Wait, they're the ones that was involved with GameStop, though.
Yep.
I think GameStop didn't make sense, but I think these companies deserve to be short if they're fake bad companies. What were you saying?
Yeah. Like Enron, for instance, is a good example of company that screwed everything up. But
you gotta have somebody. You can't scare everybody off of shorting. Because what if people did that on Nikola and like pump that stock and kill all the shorts? But then people won't want to like actually do the research into bad companies, and people just get skeezed, you know.
So the funny thing about Citron is I had heard about them a lot in the past, and I feel like every time they announced that they were going to short a company, the price would like in the short term go down, but then like he came out and said that Shopify was like fake. And I actually use Shopify for my e-commerce business.
I do too.
And and I was like, dude, this company is legit. Like they're actually like I don't think he saw how legit they were, and
or he's full of crap.
Yeah, so he tried
because
shorting
the
it
stock
when it was
responds to that, and he could
yeah.
sell. You don't know if he's selling out.
Yeah, exactly. But he tried shorting it at like $100 a share, and as you know, it's at like I think the last time I looked, it was at 1,300.
You know what? If he was an idiot, you know what? It could have been bad research because Shopify. A lot of people think they like sell stuff like eBay.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Shopify, it's for building a website. Maybe he's like, they don't sell products. I'm like, yeah, that's the point. They're like the backbone that like support people that sell products.
I remember one of his like cases was like Shopify was like he saw them as like pumping up their like, and I can sort of see where he was coming from, but I still don't isn't a reason to short the company. But he was saying like that they were pumping out these like advertisements of people who were like making like millions of dollars using Shopify, and like he was wondering if these were like legitimate like things.
The Kardashians like run their like, I don't care about them, but they run like major businesses. Like there's like $1 million brands that have been.
I know. I just didn't understand it. So like after that, I've always viewed that Citron research. I think the guy's name is Andrew Leif.
I mean, yeah, you can fail or you can be successful, but like with Shopify, it's completely up to you. You're like handed the tool.
I've paid,
and if you don't figure out SEO or you don't figure out social media marketing, you're gonna fucking bomb. But if you like really like, it's completely up to you. Like on Shopify, it's not like the tools they offer are real.
I literally give Shopify like hundreds of dollars every year.
I wish he'd short it again so that I could buy it at a cheaper price.
Man, that dude,
hey, Citron, short Shopify, keep shorting Tesla. Like, oh.
Yeah, no, he everything he comes out with is always bad. But
there was a company that I admit I heard about on Motley Fool. If you've ever heard them,
oh yeah,
it was they're called Nanox, and they supposedly came up with a machine that's supposed like. When you get an X-ray, it's this big cumbersome machine. It's super expensive for a company that does X-rays. And this thing apparently is like a bed. You lay down on it and there's a ring that like goes over you like this and it can scan you. And so like their business model, the thing is like 10 grand. I think it's $10,000 or $12,000, the machine itself. And they make most of their money off of recurring revenue. So what you do is you have to commit that you're going to use a certain amount of scans per month. And if you don't, they just take the machine back. What they do is they charge per scan. So they only want people that are going to use it to have the machine that are actually going to use it on a regular basis at their practice and have a good customer base. And they charge per scan, like a little bit here and there. And so they make like recurring, and I think there's a monthly subscription. So like, I don't know. I heard about it on there, and they like went through all of their S1 and everything, and it sounded completely legit. And I know they were shorted, and I sold out of all of it when I saw they were shorted. Like they released a short research paper.
Yeah.
I sold out because it freaked me out, and that's why you need to understand what you're buying. Whereas you bought Shopify and you knew it, and you're like, well, screw that. But I sold out, and then guess what? The stock went right back up. And somebody shorted Phase Power, which I sold out of because they shorted it, or they released a whole paper about it. And I've used their technology on rooftops for solar, and like solar people live by that shit. And like, but
what company is it? You said
In Phase Power. Look, I mean, they went from $5 stock to like hundreds of dollars. They've done very well, but that's why you just can't. You have to do your diligence on these people. Like some of them are real, and some of them really like release some BS.
Yeah. Are you do you have your eyes on any stocks after the sell-off we've seen?
Well, I've put some money into ARK Invest because they've been like.
Oh yeah, I've someone just told me about.
She's really good at buying the best stuff.
I was gonna ask if you heard of her, Callie Wood, right? Or something like that.
Kathy Wood, yeah.
Kathy Wood, yeah.
I started investing in ARK Invest before the crash from the.
Oh really?
Virus.
I was smart.
Well, I mean,
yeah, they went up so much. It went up like
she's up like
50%, right?
She was up like 180% or something. Oh, that's in multiple ETFs before the crash.
Yeah, how many do they have? Like,
I actually beat her though for the year, which I was pretty happy about. But I mean, yeah, they're really good at what they do. And
yeah, she was on an interview and sorry to interrupt you. She
no,
was talking, they were asking her, like, are you buying more Tesla right now? This was like literally a few days ago. And she's like, yeah, we're buying a ton of Tesla right now.
well, she explained what she does, and it's really genius, actually. So they're like, oh, well, like Jim Cramer's like, why the heck are you buying stuff still? He's like, you need to just close your fund and quit taking in money because there's nothing to buy. Like the Fed's against you and all this stuff. You can't close the ETF anyway, by the way. So he looks like an idiot. But so what she did is, as she was saying like a couple weeks ago, the market was looking overpriced, and so she had a lot of money in these small names, and you don't want to just like, at some point you're like flooding way too much money into like Nano Dimension, which is a really small company, or these really speculative things. So what she started doing was she had all this extra money, and she got positions in companies that she usually wouldn't invest in, that are like more like an Amazon or Apple, or a less like risky company, and she was putting it into those companies as almost like cash.
Yeah.
Then her stock got dropped down, and then now she can go shopping, so she sells off things like Amazon and Apple or whatever, and now she's buying all these like more volatile things at a much steeper discount. So it's actually super smart. So she's trimming her positions down now.
Huh.
And she's writing those losses off. Like,
Okay.
so all those losses she
smart.
had, like an Amazon or whatever, she's writing those off as losses. She gets a tax break. And then she's got she can go shopping now with that money.
Interesting.
It's a pretty good strategy, I think.
Yeah. Do they have like a bunch of different kinds of ETFs? Is that what you were saying?
They have one in genomics, which is, if you want to be in that space, I don't know anything about that, but I feel like that's going to be a huge thing to make money in.
I don't really know much about it.
Yeah, but I want to be in it. So
yeah.
They do a ton of research, and I don't know anything about it, so I trust them. They have one in just innovation, which is pretty broad. That's their main signature one. They have one in robotics and automation. They have one in fintech.
Yeah, she's a Bitcoin bull too, I think, right?
Yeah, well, so I don't think she has Bitcoin itself in any of her ETFs. She has the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust in some of her stuff. So she has some exposure, but she trims it. She doesn't want it to be too much because she was buying it way early. But yeah, I like when it dropped, it all happened so fast that I didn't want to like just buy things on impulse. And so I was like, you know what? She's probably ready with a whole list of stuff she's ready to buy. So I'm like, that's why I put and you don't get her ETF at a discount very often. So
yeah. I might actually buy some. I actually might buy some of their ETFs because I've been.
If I find some stuff I really want to buy, I can sell a little bit of her ETF and like put it into some other stuff. But yeah, I didn't want to just like impulse buy.
I know we talked about Tesla last week, and I've been thinking about putting some money into the Tesla.
Well, it's 20% down. Like,
yeah.
I would.
I mean, yeah.